Calling to order the July 8th Management and Internal Services Committee meeting. Let's start with an invocation. Will you lead us today, Trey?
I would be happy to. If you'd all please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father and Creator of all, we come before you humbly this morning to ask for your blessing on the proceedings of that which we are about to do in the name of the people of this great county. We ask for your continued blessings over this nation. We go through the troubles of our times with disasters that test the strength of our heart, with arguments and disagreements that seem to be tearing at our very souls and separating us when we should be using this time to be bringing each other together. We ask, as always, that you protect us, protect our first responders and those that would defend us and protect us. Thank you for all the many blessings you give us. Come before you today, humbled us again.
Please join me for the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, the republic for which one nation, God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have a quorum present with 3 members sitting before you. May I have approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, gentlemen?
Move to accept.
Second.
And we have one agenda change with the addition of I2A. With that, may I have an approval of this agenda?
That's all you have.
That's all we've got. Very good. I have no presentations or items for the consent agenda. We'll move directly into debate. Mr. Johnson, what do you have for us today?
First item for your consideration is an independent contractor agreement. This is with Leslie Morgan for services in the juvenile court. She'll be serving on the Citizens Review Panel. You see that the position reviews cases for children in foster care for Columbia County DFACS. It is a paid position of $26,250 annually. That's recommending that the agreement begin August 1st, 2025 and end with the fiscal year June 30, 2026.
Move to consent.
Second.
So moved. Next.
Next item you have is a request from the Sheriff's Office. This is an agreement for inmate calling solutions. This is the telephone, tablet, and video visitation services that are provided at the jail for people that are incarcerated there. The Sheriff's Office did go out looking for a comprehensive proposal to be able to provide all those services at no cost to the Sheriff's Office. The one you have before you today is in July 15th, 2025 and terminating on June 30, 2027. So this is a little bit of a longer contract. Sheriff's Office does have the option to renew it for additional 1-year terms, and they also have the right to cancel it. Staff recommends approval.
Move to consent.
Second.
So moved. Next.
The next one we have is an agreement with C3AI. This is for property appraisal assistance with the Board of Assessors. As you all know, we are all very familiar that we're getting our property assessments in the mail now. It's always a tough time for us because the citizens don't really understand. We've not set the millage rate yet. We are basing it on values. The assessor's office works diligently to make sure that they give you the most fair assessment that they can. You know that we are bound by law as to how close we have to be to the market. The market is driving this. Columbia County is continuing to be a place that people choose to live. Therefore, our property values are continuing to go up. This piece of software is a very innovative software that the Tax Assessor's Office has been working with C3AI. What it essentially does is it provides AI services. It runs AI in the background to make sure that all these assessments are as fair as possible, getting the most information, much more information than any one appraiser could get by sitting down and looking at a couple of comps. This is running constant calculations and computations in the background. And what we're trying to do here, while this is an expensive piece of software, it is one that I feel like will be in the best interest of the taxpayer. It's the fairest way for us to make sure that we're accurate when we're providing these assessments. And I think that's always been our intent. You will see that this is a 5-year agreement beginning in July 2025. We would pay the first year of $250,000 from TAVT, And then subsequent years, we would budget that out of the tax assessor's budget, since we've already started this budget year. Staff is recommending approval for this. Again, I think I've been working with our chief appraiser, Mr. Ani, and I feel like this piece of software is gonna benefit the taxpayers in Columbia County, so, we are recommending it.
Ronnie here.
He is, yeah, Mr. Ani.
Can you come up and explain it? I mean, how will it benefit the citizens?
Well, the biggest thing it does is it's a process and analysis, higher volume. So, we have 65,000 parcels in the county, 1,000 qualified sales each year. Large part of our staff, that's all they do all year. Everything. Our ratios to set these markets. And so this software is able to, number one, clean that data up, look for, find these things. Data that's there and show us our internal data. Integrates with our CAMA software that we have now. Data out of that, and then it'll push it. CAMA software as well that's valuing these properties. From the taxpayer side, got a pretty cool. It generates not an appraisal, but most people are familiar with when they purchase a house, you'll get different than what we do, a mass appraisal, but that style report is what has built in that reporting. We're getting calls now, people coming in, we could pull their property up in the software. It'll generate that report to give to the taxpayer that shows which comparables it found that were closest to their house, which is more sort of what people are used to doing. When we are valuing those properties, we're not doing that. Properties like would have for a few. And so without this software, I don't really have a way to do that. I can tell you what your neighborhood is. We can explain how we came up with the value, but this is just an additional piece that, would help them feel confident about what we're doing, because as long as your data's good, computer takes all that. It's not gonna miss. Could do. The biggest thing I think it's gonna change in our office is that.
We're gonna have some savings, reduce head count. Where are we gonna save money? Efficiency, I think. Save us on the other end, yes.
I can't honestly answer that. I don't know how that's gonna change over time. I certainly see the potential there for it to increase that efficiency enough to whereas we hire people leave, may not have to replace them.
Right.
Without having used it, being able to see it, I don't know that for sure. I don't want to say. Certainly could. Instead of adding no appraisers, we maybe have and not have to add.
And break it down into 5 equal payments, correct? It's not that it's actually.
That's correct. And just for your information, we have been working with C3 AI. The initial proposal was actually much higher than this. There are a couple of counties in Georgia that are using this, Cobb being one. Is there one more? Cobb, the only one in
I think
Georgia.
Cobb's the only one that's.
So, only one in Georgia. So this is what we would consider more cutting-edge technology. But the initial proposal that we received from C3 AI, I wasn't happy with the numbers. Morgan wasn't happy with the numbers. The company was very anxious to get Columbia County on as a client. So I think they've gotten very aggressive. So the numbers before you today are significantly less than the first amount that we'll propose for the same software.
I would just be looking for efficiencies, cost savings if we're going to $250,000 a year. There's got to be some cost savings somewhere.
Yeah, I think
AI is supposed to streamline and.
I think ultimately, I think to his point, I think ultimately it probably will. I don't know that it will year one. I think what really got me on this is that we're being fair to the taxpayer.
Accuracy.
So accuracy is there's a cost for that, which we can only do so much. I think they do a great job. We can sit here and try to defend them all day long on these assessments that just went out, but we don't have any really factual data other than what he may pull from a couple of comps. This is gonna provide a lot more information for us when we get ready to go to the Board of Equalization or somebody appeals. We're gonna have a lot more information there to just, and again, at the end of the day, it's not about getting more money out of the taxpayers, maybe getting less money out of the taxpayers. I think it's important for us to be as accurate as possible. And there is a cost for that, and I know this is expensive, but that's what swayed me, is trying to provide the taxpayer with the most accurate appraisal possible.
And consistent.
And consistent, that's correct, right, so it's not jumping. For example, we were having conversations, I know people went up, I was talking to Morgan this morning about how much my appraisal, I got out of my mailbox on the way in this morning. It's more transparent and fair to the taxpayer.
Move to debate.
Couple of questions before we move forward. One is, so to that point, will we be able to provide better answers without it, before it gets to assessors, equalization, appellate? If someone were to call your office with this software, would you be able to provide a more streamlined report, or say, this is why? Will this help your staff in that way?
Yes, the staff has looked at this, the guys that are out there on the front line talking to the taxpayers, excited about pilot program. Raving about that. Currently now, someone comes in and wants to see the data we use, that appraiser's got to go back to their desk, tell the taxpayer, we'll send it to you, because I can't pull all that together. This software, they can go back there and just sit down and go over it with them, explain it to them, in a way that's easier for them to understand. Nobody understands appraisal really anyway. The typical person out there, that it's just not something people deal with in their daily life. A little bit of times that they have done it is typically with a fee appraisal. And again, this report's kind of structured more like that, so it's more familiar to them, it makes more sense to them. When we say, hey, we set your value based on what your neighborhood's doing, which is what we do, that's not gonna change. This software takes into a lot of other accounts that we're not. That's where a lot of that, what we're calling accuracy. There's just simply not, anybody that's not using AI software is not doing that. You don't have the staffing to do that. I'd have to have 100 or more appraisers to be able to sit down and look at each property like that. And that's not feasible. So that's why, it's set up to use a mass appraisal, so you can get something done and come up with a value each year. But this will just, they'll see their properties like theirs, that same group. I think it just helps them.
Well, I think there has to be, to the chairman's point, I think there has to be at least, if not a direct, an indirect benefit that we can show, and being able to respond quicker to the citizens' concerns and their questions is certainly one of those. I'll be honest, as one of the older guys up here, I don't think necessarily telling them, hey, we bought an AI program is going to allay their fears at all. But I also understand how important that is moving forward. Can I ask, what is our current rotation? I've heard different stories. Originally, when I went, 100 years ago, when dinosaurs roamed the earth and I was a young commissioner, going through assessment training, it was a 3-year rotation, but we've never used a 3-year rotation, have we?
No. So historically, when I first started with the office, we were doing review every year. There's reappraisal and there's reassessment. Usually those two terms get confused, but they are two separate things. So the law says that we have to physically review each property once every 3 years.
Right.
Our county had historically always done every property every year, but because as things change and there's more requirements on the staff over time, I would say 5 years ago or so, we switched to where we're doing about 2/3 the properties, physically reviewing them each year. We're still assessing every property every year. We're running every permit, anything new, whether they're on the list to be reviewed or not. All the sales every year, physically talk to each one of these folks, inspecting the properties, making sure our data's right. Still assessing every property.
Is this for only residential, or does it do the unique commercial properties as well?
They offer a commercial module too. We are not interested in getting that. I don't think that properties we have in the county, necessary at this point. Our commercial, while those properties individually are expensive and carry a lot of value, when you look at the overall digest for the county, commercial is just a tiny sliver.
Of our 65,000 parcels, how many, like, what's the ratio?
It's, last time I looked, I think it was around 8 or 9%. Small piece. Same thing with personal property. A lot of time doing that as well, but grand scheme of things, everything, the digest is. But as the county continues to grow over time, I mean, when I started, commercial was half what it is now, Here's it's more than doubled, I believe. If it continues to go that way.
This service does not work with personal property as well, just
No,
residential.
Just residential.
All right, we have a motion to,
Yeah.
for debate. What's your pleasure?
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. That will move to the debate agenda, and we have one more item for you, Mr. Johnson.
Yes, ma'am. This is an MOU with the City of Grovetown for dispatch services. As you may have heard, the sheriff has entered into a memorandum of understanding with the City of Grovetown to provide dispatch services for their police department. This is the MOU to provide the dispatch services for their fire department as well. The sheriff has already executed his memorandum of understanding, so essentially they're all in the same room. They're already doing this in full disclosure, but should the board want to take a different approach, we could certainly change that. This is the same situation we have with the City of Harlem. We provide dispatch services for them. As you know, the county runs the 911 system, so when the citizen calls 911, historically, if it was a Grovetown call, they would have had to transfer that call back to the City of Grovetown. So by doing this memorandum of understanding, you will now have, for the first time ever, we will have all of our dispatch services. Our ambulance are now being dispatched from 911. Our fire is dispatched there, our sheriff's office, and then both of our cities, Harlem and Grovetown, police and fire, will all be dispatched from the same dispatch center. There is no cost to the City of Grovetown for this. Again, it mirrors the Harlem agreement, but it is something we would include in our service delivery strategy, make sure that the county is getting credit for providing the additional services to the residents that happen to reside in the city. So staff recommends approval.
Real smart. Should have happened a long time ago.
Yes, sir. I agree.
Will we be taking on their personnel as county employees now?
No, we actually have our personnel for this, and I don't think we're adding any additional personnel at all.
We're just absorbing it into our existing structure.
Correct.
And what do you feel like is the budget impact of this?
There shouldn't be any budget impact to this at this time. It's just answering another call for the City of Grovetown. And when that call comes in, I mean, we're already answering the call. We're taking the call now and transferring it. So instead of transferring the call, we're now taking the call and dispatching the unit. So really, it's really not that much additional work for the dispatcher. Probably a little easier, certainly safer for the citizen.
Far more streamlined and efficient.
Move to consent.
Second.
So moved. Thank you. Colonel Kennedy, what do you have for us today?
Yes, ma'am. This next item is an independent contractor agreement with Outdoor Oasis and Nursery for fence repair on fields 8 through 11 at Patriots Park that were damaged during Hurricane Helene. Of the three estimates, Outdoor Oasis came in the lowest at $58,950. Staff recommends approval.
Move to consent.
Second.
So moved. Thank you. Ms. Reese?
The item I have for you today is an amendment to our policy manual for vehicle safety policy number 508.1. You will see a redlined copy in your information. We are asking basically that we change the review period of driver's license checks and MVRs from annually to every 2 years. We have contacted other counties. This seems to be the norm with other counties. The main reason for this is just the amount, the volume we're having to do right now. Last year, we did 822 employees. I'm sure it's going to be more this year as our numbers grow. And just the limited staff time that we have to do this every single year, especially with them dealing, this runs through our risk management department, especially with them dealing with FEMA and insurance issues right now still from the hurricane. We would like to make this amendment to the policy so that now we do it every 2 years.
There will be no concerns. I mean, risk management is fine with making this a two-year process as opposed to an annual MVR.
Yes.
We still have a clause in our policy that if a employee should be arrested for DUI, for example, it's incumbent upon that employee to report that to their supervisor. So we're finding things in these MVRs that may or not have been reported, but the policy is not changing on the reporting process. So we don't have to wait 2 years to find that somebody had a serious violation. Supposedly, they should let us know that.
The media is really good at
What?
when our employees out there in the front.
Exactly.
Ms. Reese, does this also have a clause in there so that you could run one for reasonable cause? If suspicious of something going on?
I think we could always,
You
run-
can do it more than,
I'll let Jennifer Neal.
we could always run one.
Right.
I just want to be sure that we
Doesn't change
can do it more than every 2 years if
We
there's
can,
reasonable.
we absolutely can
suspicion.
do it
Every
more.
2 is a minimum.
Yes.
Yes, there is a form that we have, and every department is aware of that form. They can have their, if they're ever concerned about it, a supervisor can request for them to sign it. As long as we have that form, we can run them at any time.
Very good. Gentlemen?
Move to consent.
Second.
All right, so moved. Thank you, Ms. Reese. Mr. Blanchard, what do you have for us today?
I have 2 items for your consideration. The first of which is a purchase of a replacement generator from Native Instinct LLC for Building F. You're familiar with our experience during Hurricane Helene that backup generators are a critical part of our infrastructure, and likewise, Building F is our broadband utility building. So we've discovered that the generator that's currently at broadband is somewhat elderly. It's 15 years old. And it's becoming increasingly difficult for us to find locate replacement parts for it. It's requiring more maintenance to stay operational, so we believe it's time to replace the generator. We've worked with procurement to release bids, and Native Instinct of Boynton Beach, Florida, was the best bid. The cost is $74,983.16. We would like to ask for $90,000 to be allocated from TAVT just to make sure that we can cover any unforeseen circumstances that take place during the implementation. Staff recommends approval.
You see where he pulled at your heartstrings there? Elderly. Called it elderly.
I'm ignoring that comment. Move to consent.
Second.
So moved. Thank you. Next.
The next item I have for your consideration is an agreement with the Risk Strategy Group for a physical security assessment of technology facilities. We received a grant from GEMA for $50,000 to conduct a physical security assessment of our technology facilities. We worked with procurement to release a bid for this process, and Risk Strategy Group from Austin, Texas was the company that had the most responsive bid. Their proposal was for $43,575. We're going to ask for the ability to use the $50,000 since that was the grant amount. When all is said and done and we get all of our reimbursements for this project, the only outlay from the county will be $5,000 if we go up to that $50,000 amount to be paid for from IT funds. Staff recommends approval.
Move to consent.
Second.
So moved. Thank you. And we have one item that was added. Tin roofing.
Mr. Prather's going to,
Morning, Stephen. How are you?
Morning. Yes, thank y'all for letting me address this morning. This is a re-roofing project for building D&E, which is procurement, their warehouse, GIS, chamber, I believe. Development Authority, excuse me. So during the hurricane, we realized we had some leaks there. We've repaired some leaks. The building is plus or minus 25 years old. And we've come to a time where it's reached its life cycle. So staff recommends entering into an independent contract agreement with Penn Roofing in the amount of $181,700 for the replacement retrofit of that roof, which will be a new membrane insulation on top of that roof, new gutters and downspouts. We do plan on addressing this with
Move to consent.
Second, and I'll be glad when we no longer can use Hurricane Helene as a reason.
Thank y'all.
I'll be glad when it's not a reason.
I get it. No, I'm
So that one will move to consent. Thank you very much. Any legal matters? Legal matters. Let's move into staff report. Year-to-date budget.
Yes, the first report I have for your information is the year-to-date budget report. I can't believe we are sitting here at the end of another fiscal year. So this report is for June 30th. I have listed some of our major funds for your information on the rec sheet. We will begin, well, we're still working on year-end data and journal entries and all those good things, and we will start the audit process sometime in September, and we'll be bringing that information to you at that time, or after the audit is complete.
Everything looks to be in line.
It does.
Gentlemen, do you have any questions?
No, but good work.
Good, thank you. And the SPOS update?
Yes, this information is for the month of May. We collected almost $3.2 million that month, and collections for the last 12 months have been at an annualized percentage increase of 7.23%. This amount is 5.26% less than last month, April, which of course would include Masters Week, but it's almost 5% greater than the same month last year.
We are on course to have our first full year over $3 million per month.
Yes, sir. We are.
Yes, sir.
And the investment report?
Yes, the final report is the investment report for your information.
No questions? Do we have any commissioner or public comment?
Actually, ma'am, yeah, if you don't mind, I'd like to take a point.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't give you a heads up, but I decided I wanted to do this. The commission received an email early this morning from our district attorney, and I would like to read it real quick on the record. I would also like make a quick comment about it. Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, I hope you're well. I continue in ordered military duty, recently having been named the Judge Advocate General of the Army as the 43rd TJAG. I am the senior uniform lawyer of the three components of the United States Army: Regular Army, Army National Guard, U.S. Army Reserve. I serve as the military legal officer to the Secretary of the Army, Chief of Staff of the Army, and coordinate delivery of legal services to all members of the Army. Additionally, I am responsible for administration of the Judge Advocate General's Corps. I remain a mobilized member of the Georgia Army National Guard, and as such retain all the legal status of a mobilized reservist. As a public officer and employee ordered to military duty as part of the reserve forces, I remain in my civilian post, 38 United States Code 4301, sequential. I continue as district attorney, and my office is not vacated, Georgia Code 382279B. My time performing ordered military duty shall not constitute an interruption of continuous employment, also Georgia Code. In February, when my orders were known to end on August 5th, the county reasonably continued payment of my supplemental wage. My state salary has not been paid during my absence. I took action to offset county expenses for assistant district attorney salaries utilizing my unpaid state wages. I continue that practice just this week, utilizing state resources to again lower county obligations across the operation of our district attorney's office. As I transition to my duties as TJAG, my return date has become uncertain. I believe this is an appropriate time to save the county additional resources by suspending my supplement wage payments. Suspending. I report that today I filed District Attorney's Office 2024 performance report numbers. Again, the fourth year in a row, I report dramatic increases in productivity, quantifiable numbers, at proportionally lower costs to taxpayers, the increasing productivity, and no request for additional county funding. As continuously serving constitutional officer of Columbia County, I thank the Board of Commissioners and county staff for your continued support. As a Columbia County property owner, resident, taxpayer, and constituent, I thank you for your stewardship. Respectfully, Bobby L. Christine. I just wanted that on record. I admittedly am a very close personal friend of Mr. Christine's. I know very well he is making significantly less on military duty than he does in civilian life, serving our nation right now. I don't think this community has any idea of exactly how much he and his family give to this county, state, and union. And I just wanted that on record for those that might be confused about what is happening with that office. He is continuing to serve. He is continuing to lead an incredible office. I would argue the most effective district attorney's office in the state, if not the Southeast. And now is not even asking for any compensation to continue in that role. Just wanted that to be on record.
Proud to call Bobby Christine one of ours. He's a fine man and a wonderful servant. Any other comments? I have no items for executive session. We will adjourn and reconvene in
5 minutes.
5 minutes. Thank you.
9:07.